The echo of a gunshot split the midnight silence, and Detective Michael Harris said, "This town has hidden its secrets for too long." He stepped through the dim alley, heart pounding as the smell of gunpowder clung to the cold air. Sarah Miller, 25, lay motionless on the cracked pavement, her phone still glowing in her hand. Michael whispered, "A message." It started with a message. Rain dripped from the fire escape above, each drop striking the ground like a metronome counting down fate. The flashing neon sign from a nearby bar painted streaks of red across Sarah's pale face. "Officer Daniel Ward said she never stood a chance, sir." Michael clenched his jaw, haunted by the memory of another case he failed years ago. The alley narrowed like a throat, suffocating him with shadows. His breath trembled, but he forced composure. He thought, "Not again. I won't let another ghost follow me." Somewhere beyond the sirens, a voice seemed to whisper, daring him to uncover the truth. Detective Michael Harris walked past the crime tape, his voice steady, but his heart unsteady. "She didn't deserve this," he muttered, scanning the alley once more. The press already gathered, cameras flashing like vultures circling. He hated their hunger. Daniel Ward said, "We should move the body before they get their shots." Michael shook his head. "No, this story begins right here. If we move her too soon, we lose her truth." The rain continued to hammer the ground, pooling around his shoes. Michael's chest tightened, remembering the last victim he failed to protect. He whispered, "Not again." The crowd buzzed, whispers carrying rumors before facts. He stood firm, determined, though sorrow gnawed at him. His eyes lingered on Sarah's phone again, that glowing rectangle of secrets. It wasn't just a clue, it was a confession waiting to be read. And he knew, deep down, the message was never meant for her alone. Michael leaned against the brick wall, rain dripping from his hair. "Sarah Miller," he murmured. "You were the quiet one, weren't you?" He pictured her as a child, overlooked, invisible. Yet tonight, her silence had become a scream. Daniel Ward returned with a file, his voice cautious. "She worked late shifts, no record of trouble, no known enemies." Michael frowned, scanning the paper. "No enemies? Everyone has shadows." His breath fogged the air, the cold night seeping into his bones. He studied her lifeless body again, not as evidence but as a story. Every bruise, every secret, every message held weight. Sarah's phone buzzed faintly in his mind, like a heartbeat that refused to stop. He whispered, "You weren't just a victim. Someone chose you." The rain continued relentless, pressing the moment deeper into his memory, binding him to Sarah's truth like a promise he couldn't abandon. The alley emptied slowly, leaving Michael alone with his thoughts. He whispered, "This isn't random. This is calculated." Daniel Ward lingered by the car, watching his partner fight ghosts. Michael stared at the glowing phone, the screen now dark, as if mocking him. He remembered a case years ago when a clue slipped through his fingers, costing a girl her life. That memory burned, mixing with the present. "Not again," he growled. Daniel finally spoke, his tone edged with doubt. Maybe it was just a robbery gone wrong. Michael snapped back, "No thief leaves messages." Silence hung heavy, broken only by the rain. Michael's eyes narrowed, his resolve hardening. Sarah Miller's death wasn't a coincidence. It was an invitation. And he had just accepted. The coroner's van pulled away, leaving tire marks in the wet street. Michael stood still, the echoes of voices fading. "This town wants me to forget," he muttered, "but I can't." Daniel Ward joined him, uneasy. "We'll file reports, get a team on it tomorrow." Michael's jaw clenched. Tomorrow is too late, the truth is bleeding out tonight. He picked up the phone carefully, sealing it in an evidence bag, his reflection caught in its surface. "A message started this," he whispered. "A message will end it." His voice was iron. The rain softened, but the air grew heavier, the silence oppressive. Somewhere beyond the flashing sirens, someone was watching, waiting. Michael felt their presence in the dark. He turned toward the shadows, whispering to himself, "You wanted me here, And I'm here. The rain eased into a mist by dawn, yet the alley still reeked of fear. Detective Michael Harris stood over the forensic team, his coat heavy with dampness. He muttered, "Every piece tells a story, and Sarah's story won't be buried." Daniel Ward held out a small bag, inside a bullet casing gleaming faintly in the gray light. "This is clean, no scratches," Daniel said. Michael frowned. Someone wanted it found. The coroner's notes spread across the hood of a patrol car, their ink smudged by drizzle. Michael traced the words, whispering, "Close range, intentional." His chest tightened. Every detail reminded him of a past case, one that had broken him. He forced himself to look harder, refusing to blink away the truth. A discarded lighter lay near the body's outline. Michael crouched, saying softly, "The killer smokes but left no prints." Rainwater licked the edges of the evidence. He straightened, eyes narrowing. Every secret bleeds, eventually. By mid-morning, the Miller household was thick with grief and suspicion. Michael stood in the dimly lit living room, its air heavy with unspoken words. Sarah's mother, Margaret Miller, whispered, "She was my only child. Why her?" Her voice cracked like glass breaking. Michael placed a steady hand on her shoulder. "We'll find out, I promise." Across the room, Sarah's brother, Jason Miller, sat rigid, fists clenched. He muttered, "She kept secrets, detective. Don't believe she was perfect." Michael's eyes flickered to Jason, hearing more in what he didn't say. Daniel Ward noted quietly, "Family tension cuts deeper than strangers." Michael nodded, absorbing the fracture lines spreading across the room. The curtains were drawn, letting only slivers of gray daylight creep inside. A photo of Sarah as a child sat on the mantel, smiling brightly, a cruel reminder of innocence lost. Michael thought, even in grief, truth leaves cracks. Someone here knows more. That evening, Michael walked with Daniel down a narrow street, their steps echoing against the silence. A man lingered by a corner store, his hood pulled low. Daniel whispered, "He's been watching us since we left." Michael approached slowly, his voice calm. "You saw something, didn't you?" The man's eyes darted nervously. He muttered, "I don't want trouble, detective." Michael pressed, his tone firm yet gentle. "Silence costs lives. You know that." The man trembled, pulling his hood tighter. "I heard shouting that night. A woman begging. Then, a gunshot." His voice broke. Michael leaned closer. "Names, faces, anything." The man shook his head violently. "If I talk, I'll end up like her." Fear sealed his lips. Michael felt the weight of truth dangling just beyond reach, slipping like smoke through his fingers. As the man hurried away, Michael's voice carried softly, "Running won't save you. Shadows always follow." At the precinct, Michael spread evidence photos across the table, neon lights buzzing overhead. Daniel pointed to Sarah's phone records. Someone called her 3 times before she died. Michael's jaw tightened. And the police logs? They left it out. A silence fell heavy between them. Captain Richard Cole entered, his suit too crisp, smile too polished. "Detective Harris, I hear you're stirring up panic with rumors," Cole said. Michael's eyes narrowed. "I deal in facts, not rumors." Cole's smile thinned. "Then, stick to your lane." Daniel shifted uncomfortably, sensing the tension. Michael thought, corruption wears cologne and tailored suits. Cole tapped the folder, muttering, "Drop it. Accidents happen every day." Michael's blood boiled. This wasn't an accident. It was a message carved in blood. Cole's gaze sharpened. Then he walked out. Daniel whispered, "He doesn't want this solved." Michael exhaled sharply, whispering, "Then we're already in deeper than we thought." Night returned heavy with storm clouds as Michael stood outside the precinct, cigarette smoke curling in the damp air. Daniel joined him, his voice quiet. "He wants us to let it go." Michael replied, "That's how killers win." Lightning flashed, illuminating his hardened face. Sarah's message isn't just evidence, Michael whispered. It's a trail leading to someone who thinks they're untouchable. Daniel exhaled, shoulders slumping. You're letting this case eat you alive already. Michael's eyes burned with a fire that rain couldn't extinguish. It's not eating me, he said. It's fueling me. In the distance, a shadow moved behind the courthouse steps. Michael froze, eyes narrowing. He muttered, "We're being watched." The storm rolled above, thunder growling like a warning. The city felt alive, pulsing with danger. Michael tightened his coat and whispered to himself, "Every step closer pulls me further into their game, and I won't stop." Detective Michael Harris flipped through crime scene photos under the harsh glow of his office lamp. He muttered, "Something doesn't fit. Too clean, too deliberate." Daniel Ward leaned against the desk, arms folded. "Facing, the lighter, all placed where we'd find them," he said, his tone uneasy. Michael's hand trembled slightly as he picked up Sarah's phone, its cracked screen reflecting his face. "The message is bait," he whispered. A knock on the door broke the silence, and Officer Julia Barnes entered, eyes sharp with concern. "We pulled a fragment of fingerprint," she said. Michael raised his head, his voice steady. "And it belongs to who?" Julia hesitated before answering. "Jason Miller." The name hit the room like a hammer. Daniel muttered, "Her own brother?" Michael exhaled slowly, staring at the evidence. "Family secrets don't die easily. They kill instead." His voice hardened. "This case just bled deeper than I thought." The Miller house was quiet when Michael returned, the storm replaced by an eerie calm. Jason Miller opened the door, his face drawn and eyes wary. "Detective," he said flatly, "back again?" Michael studied him, voice measured. "A fingerprint ties you to her last hours." Jason's fists clenched. "I saw her that night, yes, but she was alive when I left." Michael's gaze never wavered. "Why lie about it before?" Jason's shoulders slumped. "Because I knew what it looked like, and because I'm not the only one with secrets here." The tension between them thickened as silence pressed against the walls. Margaret Miller appeared in the hallway, her voice trembling. "Enough, Jason." Michael turned to her, his tone softened. "Mrs. Miller, this is about truth, not blame." Jason's eyes burned. "Truth doesn't bring her back," Michael answered firmly. "No, but lies bury her twice." Michael sat with Daniel at a diner, the neon sign outside buzzing faintly through the rain-streaked window. Daniel stirred his coffee, saying, "Jason might be hiding something, but I don't think he pulled the trigger." Michael rubbed his temples, exhaustion creeping in. "Then who planted his print? Who's framing him?" The waitress passed silently, her eyes flicking toward their table with curiosity. Michael leaned closer, voice low. "The killer wants us chasing the wrong trail." Daniel muttered. "Or maybe Jason's part of something bigger." Michael's eyes sharpened. "Bigger means older. Old grudges, old wounds." He tapped Sarah's phone on the table like a ticking clock. "The screen remained dark, but its weight seemed unbearable. Michael whispered, "Every story has a ghost, and someone here is dragging theirs back into the light." Daniel sighed heavily, whispering, "Then we're fighting shadows." Michael's gaze hardened. "Shadows leave trails if you follow long enough." The precinct buzzed with noise, but Michael's focus locked on the evidence board. Photos of Sarah, the alley, and Jason's fingerprint formed a grim puzzle. Julia Barnes approached, folder in hand. "We ran Jason's alibi. He was at a bar, but surveillance is missing an hour." Michael replied, "Missing hours, leave room for murder." Julia's brow furrowed. "But the bartender swears he was there." Michael's hand brushed over Sarah's photo, his voice low. "Alibis can be bought. Grief cannot." Daniel stepped in, pointing to the phone records. "Another number keeps showing up, unknown, always calling Sarah late at night." Michael's pulse quickened. "Find it, trace it." His voice cracked with urgency. "That number is the real hand pulling the strings." Julia nodded, determination flashing in her eyes. Michael stared at the board, whispering, "We're not chasing killers anymore. We're chasing liars." The room seemed to shrink as his obsession deepened. Late at night, Michael sat alone in his car outside Sarah's workplace, rain pelting the windshield. He whispered, "What were you hiding, Sarah?" The building loomed silent, windows dark, yet secrets seemed to cling to its walls. He opened the case file again, his hands trembling. A photograph of Sarah, with a man unknown to him, slid free. Michael's breath caught. Not Jason. Someone else. A knock on the car window startled him. Daniel, holding a folder. The number traced back. Daniel said, voice sharp. Michael demanded, "To who?" Daniel's face darkened. "Captain Richard Cole." The name hung in the air like thunder. Michael's pulse raced. The one meant to protect, pulling the strings. He stared at the dark building again, his voice low. "The truth isn't just close. It's inside the walls we trust." His reflection in the glass stared back, haunted, ready for war. Detective Michael Harris stood before the evidence board, strings connecting photographs like veins of truth. His voice was low but edged with fire. "Cole isn't just obstructing, he's orchestrating." Daniel Ward paced behind him, restless. "If Cole's tied in, he has resources, power. We're cornered before we've started." Michael's hand pressed against Sarah's photo. Power hides behind badges, but truth cuts through. Julia Barnes entered with fresh reports. Financial records show transfers, shell accounts, money disappearing into shadows, she said firmly. Michael's chest tightened. "Blood money," he whispered. Daniel slammed his fist against the wall. "If we go after him, he'll bury us before we can breathe." Michael turned, eyes burning with conviction. "Then we stop playing by his rules. We fight in the dark, where the truth can't be erased." His tone was iron, a vow carved into air. The room felt heavier, as if the walls themselves listened. The hidden witness emerged from shadows of a decaying underpass, his hood dripping rain. Michael's voice was calm yet urgent. "You saw more than you told us." The man's eyes darted nervously. "If I speak, Cole will find me." Michael stepped closer. "If you stay silent, you'll never outrun the guilt." The man trembled, voice cracking. "I saw Sarah meet someone before she died. It wasn't Jason, it was Cole." Daniel stiffened, whispering, "That ties the rope around his neck." The man's breath hitched. "Cole saw me too. He knows I'm alive." Fear thickened the air, the underpass echoing every word like a warning. Michael's voice dropped to steel. "Then we protect you, but you give me everything." The man nodded, though terror shadowed his face. Rain dripped steadily from rusted beams, the sound like a countdown. Michael whispered to himself, "The walls of power are crumbling, and he knows it." Back at the precinct, Captain Richard Cole strode into the bullpen, his smile polished, his eyes cold. "Harris," he said, "why are you dragging my name through the mud?" Michael stood tall, voice unwavering. "Because your hands are already stained." Cole leaned closer, his tone venomous. "You're playing with fire, you'll burn." Daniel shifted uneasily, watching the exchange spiral. Michael's jaw tightened. "If I burn for truth." Cole smirked, clapping Michael's shoulder with false warmth. "Careful, detective. Truth doesn't always set you free. Sometimes it kills you." The room grew silent, every officer sensing the weight of the confrontation. Julia stepped forward, trying to ease the tension. "Captain, we follow evidence, nothing more." Cole's eyes lingered on Michael, his smile fading into menace. "Then you'd better hope your evidence is worth dying for." Michael's pulse thundered, but his voice was steady. "It is?" Michael sat alone at his desk, the precinct emptied, only the hum of old lights above. He whispered to Sarah's photo, "Your death is tangled with mine now." His fingers traced her smiling image, his mind replaying the night he failed another girl years ago. His voice cracked. "I let her die, but not you." Daniel entered quietly, setting a coffee on the desk. "You can't keep carrying ghosts," he said softly. Michael shook his head. "Ghosts carry me. They push me forward." Daniel sighed, worry etched in his face. "If Cole buries you, what's left then?" Michael met his eyes, resolve blazing. "Justice, even if it kills me." Silence stretched, heavy with truth. Daniel finally muttered, "Then I'll walk beside you, into fire if I must." Michael's hand gripped his shoulder. "We walked together then, no turning back." The clock ticked past midnight, marking their vow with relentless certainty. The rain returned heavy as Michael parked outside the Miller house. He whispered to Daniel, "The family's grief hides more than sorrow." Inside, Margaret Miller sat at the kitchen table, eyes hollow. Jason stood against the wall, arms crossed, jaw tight. Michael spoke calmly. "Sarah was connected to Cole. Did either of you know?" Jason's eyes flickered with guilt. "She told me once. She said he threatened her, but I didn't believe her." Margaret's face crumbled, tears spilling. "I begged her to stay away from him. She wouldn't listen." Michael's pulse surged. "And now she's dead because he silenced her." Jason's voice broke. "No, she said she had proof. She kept it hidden." Michael leaned forward, tone sharp. "Where?" Jason hesitated, then whispered, "In her locker at work." Michael's chest tightened. "Proof. Undone. A trail. A chance to end Cole's reign of fear." He whispered, "The truth waits in the dark." Detective Michael Harris pried open Sarah's locker at the hospital, his breath shallow with anticipation. Inside, a sealed envelope waited like a ticking bomb. Daniel Ward whispered, "This could end him." Michael's hands shook as he opened it. Inside were photographs, Sarah with Captain Cole, their meetings in shadowed corners, his hand gripping her arm too tightly. Michael whispered, "She was being silenced." Julia Barnes stepped closer, eyes wide. "These are enough to bury him." Michael's face hardened. "They're enough to get him desperate." He knew the danger. Evidence like this didn't just expose, it provoked. Daniel muttered, "If Cole learns we have this, he'll kill to erase it." Michael placed the photos back carefully. "Then he already knows," he said grimly, sensing eyes on them even in the still air. Every corner seemed darker, every shadow alive. Michael whispered, "We've crossed the line. There's no going back now." Michael drove through the storm-lashed streets, gripping the wheel as thunder roared above. Daniel said, "These photos prove Cole's guilt, but if we go public now, he'll crush us before it spreads." Michael's voice was steel. "Then we make him slip." Lightning flashed, illuminating his tense face. Julia's voice cut through the rain from the back seat. "Sarah trusted us with this. If we fail, her voice dies again." Michael tightened his grip, whispering, "Not while I breathe." Daniel muttered, "But Cole isn't working alone. Someone's helping him cover this trail." Michael's eyes narrowed, headlights carving through sheets of rain. "Then we dragged them both into the light." A shadowed SUV followed at a distance, unseen by them. The storm seemed to close in tighter, as if the city itself warned them to stop. Michael whispered, "Every road leads to him. Every storm leads to fire." The hidden witness sat trembling in a dim safe house, rain pounding the windows. Michael leaned forward, voice steady but urgent. "These photos prove Sarah was right. But I need your testimony to break Cole." The man shook his head violently. "If I speak, I'm dead." Michael pressed harder. "If you don't, Sarah died for nothing." Daniel added quietly, "You saw Cole with her. You heard the threats." The man's eyes darted to the floor, fear swallowing him. "I can't fight him," he whispered. Michael's tone hardened. "Then you let him win." Silence stretched until the man whispered, "He told her she had something he couldn't let out, something bigger than an affair." Michael froze. "What was it?" The man's eyes filled with dread. "She said she had proof Cole wasn't just a killer. He was covering up another crime." Michael's pulse thundered. The storm outside matched the storm inside his chest. At Sarah's workplace basement, Michael searched through files with Julia, dust choking the air. She whispered, "She hid something here. Something bigger." Michael's flashlight beam caught a folder labeled "Confidential." He opened it slowly, heart racing. Inside were reports of illegal medical trials, patients listed as missing. Julia gasped. Cole was funding this. Michael's voice cracked. Sarah discovered it. That's why she died. Daniel burst in, breathless. The safe house was hit. The witness is gone. Michael's chest tightened, fury mixing with dread. Cole's cleaning house. Julia whispered, "If he knows we have this, we're next." Michael slammed the folder shut. "Then we take him down before the fire reaches us." His voice echoed in the empty basement, a vow carved in stone. The storm raged above, but in the silence of the basement, truth bled louder than thunder. Michael whispered, "The monster wears a badge, and we rip it off." The precinct was silent when Michael entered, folder clutched under his arm. He whispered, "This is it, the proof that ends him." Cole emerged from the shadows of his office, his smile venomous. "You think you've won, Harris?" Michael's voice was steady. "I don't think, I know." Cole stepped closer, menace dripping from every word. "Without me, this city falls. You take me down, you destroy everything." Michael's jaw tightened. "No, you destroyed it the moment you put your hands on her." Cole's eyes narrowed. She was nothing but noise. Michael lunged forward, slamming the folder on the desk. She was the voice of truth. Daniel and Julia entered, standing behind him. Cole glanced at them, his smirk faltering. Michael's voice rose like a hammer striking steel. "Your reign ends tonight." The air cracked with silence, the storm outside pounding like a drumroll of fate. The abandoned warehouse groaned under the storm as Michael Harris stepped inside, gun drawn. His voice echoed, "It ends tonight, Cole." Shadows stretched across cracked walls, the smell of rust and oil thick in the air. Captain Richard Cole emerged from the darkness, gun glinting in his hand. "You should have walked away, Harris," he sneered. Daniel Ward flanked Michael, his own weapon trembling slightly. Julia Barnes whispered, "Careful. He's waiting for this." Cole laughed coldly. She was a girl who didn't know her place. Michael's voice hardened. She was a truth you couldn't bury. Lightning flashed through broken windows, illuminating their faces. Cole raised his gun. "Then the truth dies with you." Michael's pulse thundered, but his stance didn't break. "Not this time," he growled. The storm roared louder, as if nature itself demanded a reckoning. Every second ticked like a fuse burning toward fire. The standoff tightened like a noose. Cole circled slowly, eyes sharp. "You think you're righteous? You're just another pawn," he hissed. Michael's jaw clenched. "No, Cole. I'm the end of your line." Daniel's voice cracked. "Michael, I'll shoot." Cole smirked. "He doesn't have it in him." Michael stepped forward, the storm vibrating through the warehouse steel. Julia whispered, "We have proof, Cole. You're done." Cole's laugh was venomous. "Proof means nothing when I own the system." Michael's hands steadied his gun, voice low. "Then this isn't about courts anymore. It's about justice." Daniel's eyes widened at his partner's resolve, torn between loyalty and fear. Michael thought of Sarah's lifeless eyes, her phone glowing in the rain. His voice rose, filled with rage and grief. "You silenced her. But tonight, she speaks through me." Cole's smirk faltered, the storm drowning out his reply. Gunfire shattered the silence, bullets sparking against rusted beams. Julia shouted, "Down!" as she dragged Daniel behind cover. Michael dove firing back, each shot echoing like thunder. Cole's laughter carried through the chaos. "You can't kill me, Harris." Michael shouted back, "I don't need to. Your lies already have." Rain leaked through the warehouse roof, mixing with smoke and dust. Daniel fired a shaky shot, barely missing. "He's toying with us," he gasped. Michael steadied his aim, his breath even. "Then let him. Every monster plays before they fall." The warehouse rattled as thunder cracked, amplifying the battle. Cole's shadow moved like a phantom between pillars, his voice taunting. "You'll join her in the dark." Michael's eyes burned. "I've lived in the dark. You just made it darker." The storm and gunfire blurred into one, chaos swallowing the night whole. Michael advanced cautiously, rain dripping from broken beams above. His voice was a growl. "Show yourself, Cole." Silence answered, broken only by thunder. Suddenly, Cole stepped out, gun aimed at Julia. "Drop it or she dies." Julia's breath caught, fear flashing in her eyes. Michael's arm trembled slightly, his aim locked on Cole. Daniel whispered desperately, "Michael, don't." Cole sneered, pressing the barrel closer to Julia. "You're not willing to sacrifice her." Michael's mind spun back to Sarah, her lifeless body in the rain, the guilt that chained him for years. His voice cracked, "I won't lose another." Cole laughed coldly. "Then you both die." Michael's grip tightened. "No, only one of us." His finger curled on the trigger, his pulse hammering. The storm raged, lightning exploding in white light, as both men stared down the line between life and death. The world slowed to a heartbeat. Michael exhaled, eyes locked on Cole. "This ends now." His gun fired, the crack deafening. Cole staggered, shock flashing in his eyes as blood ballooned on his suit. Julia stumbled free, gasping. Daniel rushed to her, relief flooding his face. Cole collapsed against a pillar, his voice breaking. "You think you've saved them? The rot runs deeper than me." Michael stepped closer, fury and sorrow colliding. "Then I'll burn the rot out one by one." Cole's eyes dimmed, his final smirk fading into silence. The storm outside began to ease, as if the sky itself sighed with release. Julia whispered, "It's over." Michael shook his head, his voice low but resolute. "No, this was only the beginning." The warehouse echoed with silence, yet every shadow seemed to hold another secret. Michael's vow hung heavy, unbroken, as dawn waited beyond the storm. Dawn broke over the city, pale light washing away the storm. Michael Harris stood outside the warehouse, rain still dripping from his coat. Daniel Ward said quietly, "It's over." Michael's eyes remained fixed on the horizon. "No," he replied, "this is just where it begins." Julia Barnes emerged, exhaustion in her face, her voice shaking. "Cole's gone, but his crimes will echo for years." Michael's hands clenched as he whispered, "Sarah's truth is free now. That's what matters." The coroner's van carried Cole's body away, its engine humming like a final note in a dark song. Michael closed his eyes, Sarah's face flashing in memory. Her silence, her scream, her phone glowing in the night. He exhaled slowly, his vow unbroken. "Justice isn't peace. Justice is the weight we carry." The dawn sky brightened, but the shadows clung to him still. At Sarah Miller's graveside, rain had softened into mist. Margaret Miller stood trembling, clutching a single white rose. Jason Miller placed a hand on her shoulder, grief hard in his eyes. Michael Harris watched silently, his presence heavy but respectful. Daniel Ward whispered, "Sometimes justice feels like ashes." Michael murmured back, "Sometimes ashes rebuild what was burned." Julia Barnes laid a small photo of Sarah at the headstone, her eyes brimming. Margaret's voice cracked, she deserved more time. Michael stepped forward gently, his voice low but firm. "She gave us the truth. That's her legacy." The graveyard was silent, except for the rustle of trees, as if nature itself mourned. Michael's gaze lingered on the name carved in stone. "I'll carry you with me," he whispered. The words hung in the mist, like a vow written on air. Back at the precinct, whispers filled the air as officers glanced at Michael Harris. Some with respect, others with fear. Daniel Ward muttered, They don't know if you're a hero or a threat. Michael smirked faintly. Maybe I'm both. Julia Barnes dropped a file on his desk, filled with names linked to Cole's cover-ups. This doesn't end here, she said firmly. Michael flipped through, each name a fresh storm waiting to break. Then we keep digging, he answered. Daniel sighed, weariness heavy in his voice. How many battles can one man fight? Michael leaned back, his eyes haunted. As many as it takes. Silence draped over them, the hum of fluorescent lights filling the space. Michael's hand lingered on Sarah's photo pinned to the board. She's the reason we keep going. His voice hardened. Truth doesn't sleep, and neither will I. That evening, Michael walked the rain-slick streets alone, neon signs flickering across puddles. His reflection stared back from the wet pavement, fractured and restless. A passerby brushed against him, whispering, "Thank you, detective," before vanishing into the crowd. Michael paused, unsettled. Justice doesn't erase blood, he muttered. The city roared around him. Sirens, laughter, arguments, life moving forward while he stood anchored in shadows. He lit a cigarette, the smoke curling like ghosts in the air. Daniel's words echoed in his head, "You can't carry every ghost." Michael whispered to the empty street, "They carry me." He kept walking, his silhouette stretching under neon. A man both saved and scarred. Above him, the clouds parted faintly, but the darkness still clung. The city didn't sleep, and neither would he. Michael returned to his apartment, silence pressing in like a weight. He set Sarah's phone on the table, its cracked screen still glowing faintly as if alive. His reflection wavered in the glass, two men staring back, one broken, one unyielding. He whispered, "You're still with me." The hum of the city bled through the window, distant sirens mixing with whispers of rain. Michael sat heavily, the chair groaning under him, exhaustion carved into his face. Yet his eyes stayed sharp, burning with promise. "The case isn't over," he murmured. "Not by a long shot." Outside, a shadow passed briefly across his window, vanishing before he turned. His jaw tightened, breath steady. "You wanted me here," he said softly. "I'm here." The phone's glow pulsed once, faint but certain, like a heartbeat refusing to die. The final silence was deafening.